Chapter 19. Goodbyes. Charlie was waiting up for me. All the house lights were on. My mind was blank as I tried to think of a way to make him let me go. This wasn't going to be pleasant. Edward pulled up slowly, staying well back from my truck. All three of them were acutely alert, ramrod straight in their seats, listening to every sound of the wood, looking through every shadow, catching every scent, searching for something out of place. The engine cut off, and I sat motionless as I continued to listen. "He's not here," Edward said tensely. "Let's go." Emery reached over to help me get out of the harness. "Don't worry, Bella," he said in a low but cheerful voice. "We'll take care of things here quickly." I felt moisture filling up my eyes as I looked up Emmett. I barely knew him, and yet, somehow, not knowing when I would see him again after tonight was anguishing. I knew this was just a faint taste of the goodbyes I would have to survive in the next hour, and the thought made the tears begin to spill. "Alice, Emmett," Edward's voice was a command. They slithered soundlessly into the darkness, instantly disappearing. Edward opened my door and took my hand, then drew me into the protecting enclosure of his arms. He walked me swiftly to the house, eyes always roving through the night. 15 minutes, he warned under his breath. "I can do this," I sniffled. My tears had given me inspiration. I stopped on the porch and took hold of his face in my hands. I looked fiercely into his eyes. "I love you," I said in a low, intense voice. "I will always love you, no matter what happens now." "Nothing is going to happen to you, Bella," he said just as fiercely. "Just follow the plan, okay? Keep Charlie safe for me. He's not going to like me very much after this, and I want to have the chance to apologize later. Get inside, Bella. We have to hurry." His voice was urgent. "One more thing," I whispered passionately. "Don't listen to another word I say tonight." He was leaning in. So all I had to do was stretch up on my toes and kiss his surprised, frozen lips with as much force as I was capable of. Then I turned and kicked the door open. "Go away, Edward!" I yelled at him, running inside and slamming the door shut in the still shocked face. "Bella?" Charlie had been hovering in the living room and he was already on his feet. "Leave me alone!" I screamed at him through my tears, which were flowing relentlessly now. I ran up the stairs to my room, throwing the door shut and locking it. I ran to my bed, flinging myself on the floor to retrieve my duffel bag. I reached swiftly between the mattress and box spring to grab the knotted old sock that contained my secret cash hoard. Charlie was pounding on my door. "Bella, are you okay? What's going on?" His voice was frightened. "I'm going home," I shouted, my voice breaking in the perfect spot. "Did he hurt you?" His tone edged towards anger. "No!" I shrieked a few octaves higher. I turned to my dresser, and there it was already there, silently yanking out armfuls of random clothes, which he proceeded to throw at me. "Did he break up with you?" Charlie was perplexed. "No!" I yelled, slightly more breathless as I shoved everything into the bag. Edward threw another drawer's contents at me. The bag was pretty much full now. "What happened, Bella?" Charlie shouted through the door, pounding again. "I broke up with him," I shouted back, jerking on the zipper of my bag. Edward's capable hands pushed mine away and zipped it smoothly. He put the strap carefully over my arms. "I'll be in the truck. Go," he whispered, and pushed me towards the door. He vanished out the window. I unlocked the door and pushed past Charlie roughly, struggling with my heavy bag as I ran down the stairs. "What happened?" he yelled. He was right behind me. "I thought you liked him." He caught my elbow in the kitchen. Though he was still bewildered, his grip was firm. He spun me around to look at him, and I could see in his face that he had no intentions of letting me leave. I could only think of one way to escape, and it involved hurting him so much that I hated myself for even considering it. But I had no time, and I had to keep him safe. I glared up at my father, fresh tears in my eyes for what I was about to do. "I do like him. That's the problem. I can't do this anymore. I can't put down any more roots here. I don't want to end up trapped in this stupid, boring town like Mom. I'm not going to make the same dumb mistake she did. I hate it. I can't stay here another minute. His hand dropped from my arm like I had electrocuted him. I turned away from his shocked, wounded face and headed for the door. Bells, you can't leave now. It's night time, he whispered behind me. I didn't turn around. I'll sleep in the trunk if I get tired. Just wait another week, he pled, still shell-shocked. Well, they will be back by then. This completely derailed me. What? Charlie continued eagerly, almost babbling with relief as I hesitated. She called while you were out. Things aren't going so well in Florida, and if Phil doesn't get signed by the end of the week, they're going back to Arizona. The assistant coach of the Sidewinder said that they might have a spot for another shortstop. I shook my head, trying to reassemble my now confused thoughts. Every passing second put Charlie in more danger. I have a key, I muttered, turning the knob. He was too close, one hand extended toward me, his face dazed. I couldn't lose any more time arguing with him. I was going to have to hurt him further. Just let me go, Charlie. I repeated my mother's last words as she walked out this same door so many years ago. I shut them as angrily as I could manage, and I threw the door open. It didn't work out, okay? I really, really hate forks. My cruel words did their job. Charlie stayed frozen on the doorstep, stunned while I ran into the night. I was hideously frightened of the empty yard. I ran wildly for the truck, visualizing a dark shadow behind me. I threw my bag in the bed and wrenched the door open. The key was waiting in the ignition. I'll call you tomorrow, I yelled, wishing more than anything that I could explain everything to him right then, knowing that I would never be able to. I gunned the engine and peeled out. Edward reached for my hand. Pull over, he said as the house and Charlie disappeared behind us. I can drive, I said through the tears pouring down my cheeks. His long hand unexpectedly gripped my waist, and his foot pushed mine off the gas pedal. He pulled me across his lap, wrenching my hands free of the wheels, and suddenly he was in the driver's seat. The truck didn't swerve an inch. You wouldn't be able to find the house, he explained. Lights flared suddenly behind us. I stared out the back window, eyes wide with horror. It's just Alice, he reassured me. He took my hand again. My mind filled with the images of Charlie in the doorway. The tracker? He heard the end of your performance, Edward said grimly. Charlie? I asked in dread. The tracker followed us. He's running behind us now. My body went cold. Can we outrun him? No, but he sped up as he spoke. The charged engine whined in protest. My plan suddenly felt so brilliant anymore. I was staring back at Alice's headlight when the truck shuddered, and a dark shadow sprung up outside the window. My blood-curdling spring lasted a fraction of a second before Edward's hand clamped down on my mouth. It's Emmett. He released my mouth and wound his arm around my waist. It's okay, Bella, he promised. You're going to be safe. We raced through the quiet town toward the North Highway. I didn't realize you were still so bored with small town life, he said conversationally, and I knew he was trying to distract me. It seemed like you were adjusting fairly well, especially recently. Maybe I was just flattering myself that I was making life more interesting for you. I wasn't being nice, I confessed, ignoring his attempt at diversion, looking down at my knees. That was the same thing my mom said when she left him. You could say I was hitting below the belt. Don't worry, he'll forgive you. He smiled a little, though it didn't touch his eyes. I stared at him desperately, and he saw the naked panic in my eyes. Bella, is going to be all right. But it won't be all right when I'm not with you, I whispered. We'll be together again in a few days, he said, tightening his arm around me. Don't forget, don't forget that this was your idea. It was the best idea. Of course it was mine. His answering smile was bleak and disappeared immediately. Why did this happen? I asked, my voice catching. Why me? He stared blackly at the road ahead. It's my fault. I was a fool to expose you like that. The rage in his voice was directed internally. That's not what I meant, I insisted. I was there. Big deal. It didn't bother the other two. Why did this James decide to kill me? There are people all over the place. Why me?